I dated 5 gurus in a row, and one of them was a men's dating coach, and he also taught men how to pick up women. And something that they teach all the time in pickup is frame. Now, frame is both a connection to yourself and a very strong world view. And this worldview contains like the ethics, what's valued, what gets you brownie points, like Christianity is a frame, democracy is a frame. And so much of pickup is just trying to get a woman in your frame. But what's even more interesting is that frame is a power dynamic. It's a rank question because in every single interaction, there is one person who wants the approval of the other person more, and they're willing to abandon their sense of self and their world and what they care about, what matters to them, in order to gain favor in the other person's world. I don't know if you've ever watched Joe Rogan. I've had the misfortune of watching a few snippets here or there, but it's a perfect example of frame because the intensity of the pick-me energy that these men have for Joe Rogan. They will say anything. They will do anything. They just want him to like them and think that they're cool so bad. They are desperately in his frame. People will give to you when you're in frame. There's almost like a trance-like aspect to it. Like when you have a crush on a guy, he could be absolutely mouth vomiting, saying the most inane shit you can imagine, and you're just there like, wow, yeah, oh my God, you're in his frame. So now how do we use this to our advantage? Because as women, we are very disadvantaged when it comes to frame, and we are very disadvantaged for these two main reasons. The first is like that guru dating coach I dated so astutely pointed out, men worship goals and women worship state. So men are very goal driven, they're linear, they're always thinking about the future, they have a hard time actually connecting and feeling the present. And women, we worship state. We're yearning to be brought into like an energetic experience, which is why this dating coach would help men say, when you're going out, when you're talking to women, instead of asking these same boring ass questions, where do you work? Have you read any good books lately? What do you like to do with your friends? All of that is goal-based thinking, and it's all gonna get a woman in her head. And now obviously we have our own inner masculine energy, and we've had to adopt a lot of goal-based thinking in order to survive in this hellscape that they've created. And also a lot of times we get in our masculine energy when we are assessing a man as a potential partner, as a potential mate, right? That's like, you can feel when you're in your masculine energy thinking about a man when you start thinking about his qualities on paper. You're like, he has a good job, he's healthy. All of that is very goal-based thinking. We have it in us. We do it all the time. But what we truly worship is state, is accessing these energetic experiences. So he'd say, instead of asking women this question that's going to put her in her mind, you want to facilitate an experience. So you say, take my hand, let's go out on an adventure. And it's December, and so there's a Christmas tree, and you say, let's go to the Christmas tree. And then, wow, the Christmas tree, and you say, oh my God, the lights, and you hold her from behind, and you catch your hand so that you're holding her ear, and you say, it's so beautiful to be here with you. And then you laugh and you twirl her around and you give her a dip. And it's those energetic experiences, it's those experiences of state that actually really touch our heart. That's why you can be married for a bunch of years to a man who's like, meeting all the criteria on paper. And you're going to think about that one guy you met on vacation 10, 20 years ago who you had a freaking experience with. And so that means there's an aspect of our feminine nature where we're actually looking to get into a man's frame. We want to be in a man's frame. Also, for the second reason, because of, the big they out there, they, the late capitalism, they, the powers that be, they, have filled us with so much shame and self-doubt that we are so unvalidated, and that we're constantly looking for men's validation and approval from any and every man, right? Like, I want the validation from the 20-year-old at the gym and the 60-year-old janitor who cleans my office, and definitely the cute doctor and the cute dance teacher and my friend's boyfriend's friend. I want them all to approve of me. I want them all to validate me. And the social conditioning teaches us that the way that you do this, the way that you incur approval and validation, is by getting in a man's frame. So whether that's because you're fawning, or you're people pleasing, or you have pick me energy, or like a genuine desire for this guy to facilitate an experience for you. It means that you are willing to abandon your own frame for the safety, the security, the protection, the validation of being in a man's frame. And I will do this. I have done this. Even when the man's frame sucks. Even when being in the man's frame means that I need to get a 9 to 5 and cook and clean and give him monogamy, even when the fun time isn't even that fun, right? There's all these women who are in these guys' frames and their frames suck. Like they have these really controlling boyfriends who don't support their hobbies, who don't support their friendships, but because they're in their frame, because the women are in his frame, they still comply. There is all this illusion of the benefits of this dangling carrot that will be given to you by getting into all these frames that are available to us. And all those frames are crumbling. All the illusions are being exposed. Now, if you get in a marriage with a man, most likely what was promised to you, the benefits that were promised to you by entering that frame are very hollow. The same if you go to college before it was thought that you would be promised to get a job. And now we know that is false. All of the different illusions of the benefits that would be afforded to you because of jumping through the hoops of gaining favor within these frames are revealing themselves to be false. And that is why as women, we need to reclaim the frame. Reclaim the frame! So how do we do this? First, frame is largely a function of detachment. So for example, I went with my friend. I'm always so bad at doing that while talking at the same time. I went with my friend. She really liked this indie artist who is playing in town, and it's her hero. I didn't know him, and he's not necessarily that big, and so we got to meet him. And there she was, and she was stammering over her words and so nervous. But me, I don't want his approval, so I don't care. And I was able to just be open and banter and enjoy the experience because I had detachment. And then of course, paradoxically, because I'm not in his frame, that power dynamic in the relationship shifts. And so actually he starts getting really curious about me and asking questions about me and kind of ingratiating himself to me wanting to get in my frame. And now this might seem a little circular, but I feel the way you get detachment is actually by having more frame, by knowing what you like, by knowing your preferences, by being able to self-validate how much value you offer as a human being, how amazing you really are, by being able to de-pedestalize any man in your life and any man you're meeting. And also by knowing what you're devoted to. Because I'll tell you, when you get really serious about being devoted to the earth, it doesn't matter if there's some freaking crypto tech bro telling you that you can make a bunch of money if you put all of this effort into mining. You're boy, And the biggest benefit of frame is that it allows you to enter into winner effect. Winner effect is so real. And it's this phenomenon that happens when all of that bandwidth that has previously been going to wondering if you are approved of and your self-doubt and your insecurity, all of a sudden liberates up and allows you to enter into your higher functioning. It's you're actually connected to yourself and the lights turn on. That's why with that indie artist, I was able to have enough higher functioning online to be able to joke and banter and share energy. And it almost creates this positive feedback loop where the more frame you have, the more frame you have access to. And the more winner effect you feel, the more winner you are. And if you've made it this far, a bunch of you have messaged me asking if I do one-on-one sessions. And so I actually opened Recentering You consultations to talk more about any of this stuff. And the link's in my bio.